Russian man like inside the dark, call me Bill Snatcher. Just the brother for the rapture. I hang glide, holding on strong, hard to capture. Extravagant, resurrect the track and it's militant. And I react like a garden and start killing. It's manifesting. The God's work like appliances, dealing in my sleep like a lot.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys some major good news and some bad news for the Boruto anime. A lot of you guys in the past have asked me, when is the anime going to go back to covering the manga? And it got to the point where I did a whole video explaining to you guys why the anime can't cover the manga right now, why 2022 is going to be almost all anime original content, which is what we're seeing currently, and why a chunk of 2023 is likely going to be anime original content as well. The news that we got now doesn't change that. The Code arc in the manga is only 16 chapters, so I won't be repeating those talking points in this video, but I will leave that video in the end screen as well, is in the description box if you want a more in-depth answer backed up with all of the facts. So getting to the news we've got it from what I deem to be a personally pretty reliable source when it comes to information on the Boruto anime. This account has broken information in the past about the anime, and according to Wolf over on Twitter, is going to be shifting gears to the Code arc of the manga in early 2023. Now, again, Wolf is somebody who has broken information on the anime in the past. We've got new information that the Code arc of the manga will officially begin at the beginning of 2023. Before that, we're going to get exclusive episodes to flesh out everything that has to do with Code, kind of similar to how Studio Pierrot did for the Mujina Bandits arc and the Owl arc, which, for those you guys who need a reminder, the anime original arcs for those were the Hozuki Castle arc and the Car Actuation arc respectively. And Yamashita will work on one of the main episodes of the arc, but he won't be credited, which we've seen that in the past where animators haven't been credited until after the episode comes out. So from this we can gather two things: that the anime is going to be covering the Code arc in the manga in early 2023, beginning likely being sometime in the first quarter of the year. That means that the manga is likely going to be doing two things. One is wrapping up the Code arc of the manga, and two, given everything that's occurred in the manga, that long-awaited time skip is likely going to be coming out in the next 6 months. And part of the reason why I do believe that this is the case is that typically what you end up seeing is that for big arcs like this, studios tend to start getting pre-production work done on those arcs done well in advance. For instance, the Car Actuation arc and some of the key episodes that you got in the Car arc, like episode 189 and episode 192 that dealt with Kawaki's flashback, those episodes were being worked on when the Car Actuation arc was coming out, and the Car Actuation arc had been getting worked on by the time we had the Mujina Bandits arc coming out in the anime. So I do believe that this is something that's in production right now that does seem credible. Now, the last manga chapter actually sets up a really good stopping point for the anime. Amato's big reveal and Code licking his wounds and having to plot out his revenge. It's a nice way to wrap up the arc, since Code's journey begins at the start of the arc with him being a follower, looking to gain power to carry out revenge, and now he's someone who's gained the power that he wanted but is unable to carry out his goals. That's enough wiggle room for the anime to cover that and then go back to the anime original content, depending on how the manga transitions to its time skip, or if before the time skip the manga does what Naruto did, which is Naruto's manga gave us a Kakashi Gaiden to explain how Kakashi got the Sharingan, which for Boruto, if this happens, it might be an Ishiki Gaiden on someone like Amato or Ishiki or even Kawaki, depending on what information needs to be revealed in the manga, depending on what Amato's big reveal is. So personally, I like where this is going, because an anime original arc meant to transition to the Code arc has the potential to be even better than the Car Actuation arc. An arc I think a lot of people are in agreement on, that arc is the best anime original arc that we have in Boruto. The reason I feel so confident is the difference in the writing right now. So with Kodachi writing the manga, we had a lot of action. It was back-to-back action, but there wasn't any substance, if we're being honest here. Shojoji in the manga had no motive, and it didn't feel like he was a threat in the manga. He was just some random crook who was a leader of a gang whose only benefit to the story is that he knew about Car. Whereas in the anime, we saw the build-up of the Mujina Bandits through the eyes of characters like Kokiri as well as other characters, how the organization had affected the lives of so many people, how they kind of sprung up and what they were doing. We saw what appeared to be the second in command of the Mujina Bandits being in possession of a crazy jutsu that allowed them to fight all the members of Team 7 all at once, only for us to learn that it was Shojoji using one of his jutsu the entire time. And we saw Shojoji get real heat as a heel by killing Kokiri, who a lot of fans had grown to love. By the time Boruto met him in the anime officially, Shojoji felt like a true villain versus in the manga, he just felt like he was a villain of the week. Kara in the manga was just there. Like, they were strong characters. That was it. Jigen was apparently the leader of the group, and by default, we knew that he was the strongest, but there wasn't much else outside of Kawaki's brief flashback to meeting Jigen and being taken to Amato. Stuff like seeing Kawaki meet Goro and Goro getting mad at him because Kawaki's body wasn't affected by the ninja tech that was pumped into him like it was a Goro, and he lost his arms. That wasn't in the manga. However, the Code Actuation arc gave us a look at how Car was already in places like the Hidden Rain Village, doing human trafficking and doing experimentation. Villages that pulled out of the Shinobi Union when Kakashi was Hokage, and he set it up to unite the smaller villages on the continent with the 5 major villages. We saw how Deepa and Victor was running experiments with the Hashirama cell technology that Amato uses for Car's ninja tech and his efforts to create a god tree. We saw Team 7, why they leveled up so much between the manga arcs, because Deepa was a force that pushed them to train and get stronger. We saw clear setup and interactions between the Car members. We even got a whole episode showing off their various personalities in full, something that the manga under Kodachi never did. Prime example being, look at how Boro actually has a personality in the anime, whereas in the manga, again, he was just there. When we look at the arc that we currently have in the manga, there's a lot of good framework for the anime to do an anime original arc that transitions to the Code arc. Based off of the manga, we know quite a bit about Code. We know that Code, before he traveled to the Land of Snow, was going around destroying hideouts of Kara and covering up his tracks while he did so. We didn't see any of this take place in the manga, but we were told that it happened. But we know that it happened after his conversation with Ishiki's soul. We know that Konoha's Anbu Black Ops weren't able to track him down. Based off of Code's actions, we know that there are other hideouts that Konoha wasn't aware of, like for instance Boro's hideout. Konoha has knowledge in the anime about the church compound where the worshippers of the Otsutsuki gathered and lived, but they have no information on Boro's other hideout. We were told and saw firsthand in the manga how much Code worships the Otsutsuki to the point where you can argue it's beyond reason. Now you have a chance to further explore it, potentially with flashbacks with his time admiring Ishiki's vessel Jigen and his own issues with Kawaki. We know Code took some time to get to the Land of Snow, which is more room for the anime to play around. Having an arc dealing with Code and having small red arrows point to the Land of Snow would explain why Sasuke was able to figure out where Code was hiding so quickly in the manga in less than a day, because he already had intel he was drawing on. The manga dropped in small time markers to show how much time it progressed, and the anime is currently taking advantage of that, likely taking Amato's line about 6 months having passed at face value. The good thing is that there's potentially light at the end of the tunnel now. Like myself and the big homie for Neverworld said when the Ishiki arc was wrapping up in the anime was likely going to pull a Naruto, which is what it did, where it's going to have to do anime exclusive content for a while. For Naruto, that was 80 episodes, basically a year and a half, because Naruto's anime, at the time when Naruto's manga went to the time skip, Naruto's anime was at the start of the Sasuke retrieve arc. There wasn't that much room. For Boruto right now, it's been 34 weeks of anime original content, and if the Code arc of the manga starts in January 2023, that's a year and 3 months of anime original content. It's not exactly a 1-to-1, but it's not that far off either. Now, the downside to this is that currently there's only, again, 16 months of material to cover, which is only 16 chapters, which for reference, one Boruto chapter is roughly 2 weekly chapters of Naruto's manga, which is essentially only 16 episodes of material. So the Code arc won't be very long in format. It's only going to be a home media release. That's the downside to a monthly manga. even if it was bi-weekly, which a lot of people are screaming for, you're going to be in the same issue because it's just 2 chapters that are the same 20 pages apiece. However, as manga readers know, that time skip feels pretty set up right now, and chapter 71 doesn't feel like the craziest spot to stop the Code arc. It just depends on how quickly the manga jumps over to part 2, which, despite what some people are hoping, while the anime is going to get rebranded when we get to part 2, Boruto's manga, if it follows Naruto's manga and if it follows what Dragon Ball did in Japan, it's only going to be called Boruto, just like Naruto in the United States, and over in Japan, the manga was only called Naruto. There is no Naruto Shippuden manga. For manga readers, what moments are you most excited to see take place in the anime, and what do you hope the anime original arc covering Code gives you new information on? While you think that over, consider watching the other videos you see on screen right now.